Hey guys, Art 17 here, and we're in week 5. Yes, it's going by very quickly. It's kind of amazing. But as you can see, in week 5 we only have one assignment. Number 9, landscape. Actually, it could be a seascape if it includes some land to it. I'll show you some examples of that. But this is going to take up 2 class periods and a homework time. So, that being said, it must be pretty epic. I want to see a lot of content. I want to see a lot of time was spent on the drawing, like several hours, like probably 4 to 5 hours or more. So it's not something quick. I mean, time yourself, and I'll know by what I see, unless you are really good at drawing and you can pound that out within an hour. You may be going back and forth to it all week and into the weekend to make sure it's got enough content. It has a lot of shading, a lot of contrast, in lights and darks, and then the midtones as well. So there's going to be dark areas and there's going to be light areas. This gives it shape and a three-dimensional appearance. Um, also, you can use charcoal on this or graphite or a little of both. If you're really good at color, or even if you are a painter, I will allow you to do that, but not beginners. Don't paint it if you're a beginner. Okay, use the graphite, use the charcoal, because that's what we've been doing all these weeks from the beginning of the semester. Now, if you are an accomplished artist, basically, and several students come into this course that are. And so I will allow you to do that. If you feel you are very confident with paint, then do that. But don't try it if you're not. We have a little bit of a painting section down here that we're going to do some monochromatic painting and full color painting. And I'll outline all that for the beginners later. But nonetheless, if you are fairly decent at painting, then go ahead and try this. Okay? And I'll let you know when I see your work. No, that's not so confident. You haven't got real good painting skills. Then I'm going to ask you to do something else. So keep that in mind before you start work. Now, the landscape. I'll show you some ideas on that. There's the seascape. I spelt wrong, but that's okay. Landscape drawings. They can have a lot of different content. All these are fairly good ideas. I should probably these have color, most of them. Okay. And you can go on being yourself. Landscape drawings. The thing about your landscape is I don't want you to make it up. I don't want you to copy one of these. I want you to go out somewhere and draw a landscape. Now, it can just be a park setting. It could be, landscape's a big word. It can involve some structures. I'd rather it at least have a balance of nature and man-made if you're going to put structures in. Not all buildings, okay, or a neighborhood sort of thing where there's more houses than trees. I'd rather you have something with a little bit of both. If you're going to do the seascape, it has to have some land in it and something with trees and maybe boats or something like that, not just a bunch of water. Okay, and if you're going to do something like this, but I think you should go out and try to draw. Then, when I say that, take a photo of what you're drawing from so you can bring it back and have that to work from and reference on the drawing you've started. Maybe you start it there, or maybe you go take a photo and then work it out at home. But I'd rather you not copy something here. Go find your own. This is part of being an artist. You know, if you're gonna if you're going to learn to draw, then you should have a subject matter in front of you that is unique and your own, and it's a fleeting moment of that moment, that time of day, where the sun or light is hitting something in a certain way, and there's going to be possibly shadow areas to everything, and depending on the direction of the light, it's kind of best to go out either early or later in the afternoon when the light is one side or the other, as opposed to straight down. Okay, and find those shadows, and and, and you find the lights and darks in what you're going to draw. You might have to add them in. You may have to add things in to make it a stronger drawing. So if you want to show me what you're working on beforehand, before you really turn it in, and ask for suggestions, that's a good thing to do. And then I will give you, well, I think, and then send me the photograph you're working from too. The photograph and your drawing. And then I can tell, well, maybe you should do this, 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 and I'll give you good suggestions to work on. Okay, so here's a lot of color ones. Let's put graphite in and see what that shows us. Okay, here's only the graphite. You can go look at these yourself for ideas. But then on ideas basically on the shading content and how much content. Of course, maybe it's going to be really hard for you to find big old mountains like this. But there's several rivers and there's several seascapes, okay, from where we live. And there's redwood forests and trails. Trails are good, show a trail with trees on either side going down and showing the distance, where the trees get smaller as they go away from you, or even a little creek like this with reflection marks in the water and ripples in the water. It's all light and darks. That's all that makes any of this happen right here. And you're working with color, I don't want anyone to do that who hasn't done it before, so you already know how to mix paints and use color for lights and darks, so I won't go into that. If you're really good at that, then try it. Otherwise, don't try it. Use the graphite or use the charcoal. Well, here's just a multitude of ideas. Maybe a little pond with trees reflected in the pond. And you have the land over here that isn't one tone. It's got lights and darks all through here. And you got the fence, you got little shadow areas and all that. So look for all that and keep, this is an awareness exercise as well. You're going to be aware of everything you see, and then you're going to put it in on your paper, sketch it out lightly, and then go for the detail and go for the shading. Lots of ideas here on that, but I'd rather you not make it up. I'd rather you go out and find your own landscape to draw. Okay. Now it could be a street in a neighborhood if there's a lot of trees, and maybe there's a little bit of a structure in there, but a street that has a lot of trees and a lot of foliage, and you could show the sidewalks and maybe little entrances to the homes on either side. But notice what you're drawing. The street will converge as it goes away from you, or any trail will converge, meaning it appears to get thinner and thinner as it goes away from you. It's not the same shape as you go down. Let me show you. How about a trail? See, all trails start like this, and then they appear to get smaller and thinner as they go away, or less wide, because that's the illusion of depth. It's really probably the same size, but as it goes off into the distance, it appears to get shorter on the sides, less wide, and then closer together and smaller as it whips away and goes somewhere. And if you walk down it, it'd be the same width. But as you're looking at it, perspective-wise, it's going to look like it's going away from you. The way you get that done is, and it's an illusion of depth, is you put it closer and closer and closer as it goes away, and pretty soon it just sort of dissipates. Okay? This is a really good one to do. There's a lot of content there. There's a lot of contrast in dark and light areas, and all the midtones, depending on where the shadow side of the tree is, what side of the tree is lit up, where the cast shadows are all over the place. So you got to look at all that stuff. Okay, and let's go to Seascape and see what that's got. Here's a bunch of colored ones. But like something like this, where you have land and some bushes and some birds and clouds and water. The water has waves, so there's lights and darks to those waves. These are really nice. Okay, I'm gonna put graphite in. Swah? What's that? Wait a minute. Seascape, and I'll put graphite drawings. Okay, put some land in there somehow. If you're going to put a sailboat, then so there's a little bit of land coming out on this side, or maybe the beach right here. This boat and the sand and the little hills over here, the cliffs, and all the reflection on the water here. This is a nice one. Well, I don't know if you can find something like that. Maybe the harbor. That's sort of land if it has water in it. Or there's lots of places where, even a lighthouse would be awesome. If you can find a lighthouse, go draw that. Take a photo of it. Always take a photo so you have something to reference later. Where the light was. What things looked like, so you can go back and work on it. Okay? Or maybe it's just rocky stuff with water. But all the rocks are going to have light and dark areas. Map them out. Just like mapping shapes and shades and shapes. It's the same idea. There's dark and light areas and everything in between, all the different levels of tone. And that's going to show the dips and folds in the rock, crevices, and the places that are very lit up because they're getting the sunshine on them. Okay? Of course, most the water out by the ocean and around rocks is going to have light and dark areas, whitewash areas, and then the other areas that are, in color, they're green and blue and grays. So look at these to get some ideas of what composition you might want. You want to set it up where there's, a lot of content in your picture frame. Not like this, just the ocean. That's not going to be good. And under the water, you're not under the water, so you're not really looking at that. Lighthouse, if you can find a lighthouse, awesome, do it. But you're going to notice that one side of the lighthouse has less light on it than the other. Go in the morning, like before noon and afternoon. Even into early evening would be great, because now the sun's down and it's going to have a shadow side and a light side. And the in-between gradual changes right through here with all the midtones come into play. There's not much going on in the water in this one. They're focusing on the lighthouse, but I would rather see a lot of this toned up. And remember, sky always has a tone. Sky is not white. Sky is either some shade of gray or a blue or both, with some white clouds possibly that have difference to them as well. Clouds always have a light and dark area to them. They're not all just one puffy thing. Puffy white. Well, here they are. Okay, I'll take that back if you want to do this. But all the background has a tone. Now, if you want to frame it like this, where you have some area out here that isn't toned, but it's big enough to fill the page basically with maybe an inch or so on the edge, then that's okay. That's stippling. This is an ink drawing. Like, I don't know, if you're good with ink, try that. But you don't just do stuff that you haven't done before for this. We've worked with graphite. We've worked with charcoal possibly. Let's show some charcoal. Whoops. Charcoal? No. So charcoal, some of these are charcoal, but they work really well to get contrast right now. You don't have to work very hard. Charcoal gives contrast big time right now, and then you can back it off with the kneaded eraser, the one that pulls apart. You need one of those for charcoal. Otherwise, the white vinyl is going to kind of mess it up. The kneaded eraser picks up the charcoal really nice. You can dab it, you can wipe it, you can, do different. You can twist it on there and get lights and darks back, or leave the darks and get lights where you want them. Okay. A lot of these are really nice drawings. Don't just do a bird in the water. Don't do the bird in the water. It's not going to be enough. I want to see some land. I want to see some trees. And maybe a surfboard or a boat or a lighthouse or a hammock. Of course, we don't have palm trees, but if you find some, great. I want you to draw from something you're looking at. So around here, we have more like this. Right? This is an awesome one to do. Look at the sky. Lots of tones in that sky. Even if it's a blue, cloudless day, that's a tone. It's not white as paper, because blue or gray is going to be represented in charcoal and graphite as a gray tone of some sort. All right. Several gray tones, or maybe just one, but it's not white as paper. Don't send me anything that has white as paper stuff unless it's snow. Snow or a actual White House. Maybe the White House or the lighthouse may have one side that's kind of white, but the other side's going to have darker tones to it because it's in the shadow. But no land and no water and no sky is going to be white as paper. It's just not going to be. So just heads up, because I'll ask you, nope, go ahead and take out that white because that's not accurate. Water, land, and sky all have a tone. All right, I'll leave it at that. If you have questions, get a hold of me. Send me your work early if you want good feedback and suggestions. And then be ready to show me your photograph as well. In fact, send them at the same time. Photograph of what you're working at, live setting, real stuff. Go out and find something. Doesn't have to be real far away. It can be a park setting where there's trees and grass and maybe some benches and a trail, stuff like that. Yeah. So look all that up. Find a good place to go. Could be your own neighborhood. You don't have to go that far. Maybe you have property or you're living with folks that have some property. You can go out and draw what's there. But be really aware of what you're mapping out in a light sketch, and go from there. And then if you have any questions, let me know early on. This is the only assignment all week, so really make it epic. All right, we'll talk with you later.